Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Home sweet home. That's what you'll be, Rocky Top. Or should I say Rocky Flop? listen, listen, I gotta tell you. I have a beautiful saying. Low key, I should put it on a t-shirt. Rocky Top will always turn into Rocky Flop when it matters most. And boy, did that come to fruition on Saturday. oh man. Oh man, what a blast. What a blast of a weekend. And look, we'll get to the Volunteers. We'll get to Rocky Flop, okay? And we will laugh, or I will. I will laugh at their expense. We'll get to the Gunner Stockton Masterclass, the Gunner Stockton Legacy Game. But we have a few other things we're going to get to. And I'm honestly thinking that to this episode, episode 78, might be filled with rants because people have lost their minds. Trust me, I'll have a rant when it comes to Georgia, Tennessee, which we'll save for the end. Georgia, Tennessee will be last on this here episode. But I'm going to start off with something that I guess you could say is related to this weekend because it happened this weekend. And that's Dabo Sweeney and Brian Kelly both crashing out in press conferences. We'll start off with Brian Kelly because that one happened first, right after the LSU-Florida game, which is the game we'll talk about first. We'll get to that. There will be a lot more laughing once we get to that game, trust me. So Brian Kelly gets to the press conference, right? Post-game press conference. First question he's asked after they beat Florida 20-10, he gets asked what's going on with the offense, essentially, because the offense was not good against Florida. And Brian Kelly crashes out, basically. Says, why is that the first question I get after a win? Yada, yada. People are never satisfied, yada, yada, yada. You just want us to beat everyone by 100. We play to win the game, yada, yada, yada. And then yesterday, we had Dabo Sweeney go on a generational crash out for really no reason, because the question he was asked is if there was an offensive play you could take back, what would it be? And he literally goes on this 13, 14-minute rant crash out about people wanting him fired, which isn't really what the question was about. And he goes on and on about how he's won a lot there. And, hey, if they're tired of winning, then they can let me go. You know, we've won how many ACC titles in the past how many years? We've won 2 national championships. They're both crash outs, but I think one is sort of justified and one is not. The Brian Kelly one, I can understand his frustration. And at least Brian Kelly apologized. Like, I can understand Brian Kelly, you just won this game 20-10. You walk into a press conference, and the first question you ask is basically, it's a negative question after you just won a game against a rival. Like, and so I can understand the frustration. Like, we won by 10 points. I'm sorry we didn't win by 30 like I'm sure you wanted, but a win is a win at the end of the day. That's why I get upset with Georgia fans who get so upset about how we performed against Austin Peay. Like, sure, I can understand it's frustrating, but the moment you get upset about winning is, I think, the moment that you've lost yourself as a fan. But the Dabo Sweeney one, I think, is idiotic. Dabo, none of us care that you won 2 national championships however many years ago that was. 7 years ago, 8 years ago, however, it was a while ago. Nobody cares. No one cares that you were in the national title in 2020 or 2019, whatever year that was. Nobody cares. What we care about is what have you done recently? What have you done the past 3 years? What are you doing this year? Last year, you won the ACC, you got into the playoff, and you lost in the first round, got dominated by Texas. Okay. But now we're going into this year, and you were supposed to be a national title contender, and yet you're 1-2. Your offense got dominated against LSU and then again against Georgia Tech. And look, Georgia Tech is not a bad team, but you have so much NFL talent on your roster. You should not be losing to Georgia Tech. Not even to mention the fact that your one win against Troy, you were losing 16-0 at one point. You were losing at halftime. And yet you want to come in here and gaslight us and pretending like everyone's calling for you to be fired when that's not what I've heard. Because I understand that there probably are Clemson fans that are frustrated, but I think most Clemson fans understand that you're a great coach. But you refuse. Your own stubbornness is why you are here. Your refusal to use the portal, because you have a great football team. If you used the portal like you should have, you could have made it elite. You could have shored up that offensive line, which I said, by the way, before the LSU game, could be an issue. You could have done that. LSU used the portal to get some interior offensive linemen. Why didn't you? Because you're stubborn. It's your way or the highway. And so you get what you deserve, Dabo. And that is a 1-2 start. And people have a right to be frustrated and question the way you are doing things. Because Cade Klubnik does not look like he's gotten much better since he's been there. And Cade Klubnik will be part of a bigger rant I have when we get to Georgia, Tennessee. Because he's another one of these preseason QB darlings that I could have told you wasn't going to pan out the way you thought it did. Anyone calling this kid a Heisman favorite before the season, I said it was idiotic. It still is idiotic, and it forever will be idiotic. And boy, was this past weekend a terrible weekend for those preseason QB darlings. And we'll get to all of them. You get what you deserve, Dabo. And I don't think you're going to be fired. I think Clemson understands you're the best thing that's ever happened to them. But you have no right to crash out over a question that didn't even involve you being fired. It was a very simple question. And it took you 14 minutes to answer because you went on this whole separate tangent. And you do this once every season. You are to blame for what is happening to this football team. Nobody else. Nobody else. Let's get into the games, though. Where should we start? I think we should start with LSU versus Florida. Sorry, I just can't even say their name. You know, when you hear a joke, you laugh, and that's exactly what Florida is. You know, man, just looking at this, 5 interceptions. Can you believe that? And just so everyone is clear, I'm going to get in trouble for what I'm going to say about this game. I have people in my life who love the Florida Gators. And I would argue that all I'm doing is trying to help them. I warned you before the season started. All you have to do is listen, and you wouldn't get your hopes up. I warned you about this. You don't listen to any of the people telling you that this team was going to be, oh, they're going to be a playoff contender. Oh my gosh, they're a fringe playoff team. Oh, this could be Billy and DJ's year. What did me, the reasonable person, okay, the Florida truth teller, what did I say? I said, you could be a great football team, and I still don't think you're making the playoffs because your schedule is so hard. And oh, look at that. You already have 2 losses. Now, granted, I didn't think you were going to lose to South Florida, but you did. And I told you LSU was a great football team. Oh, look at that. They dominated you. Okay, 20-10. Trust me, it could have been a lot worse. It should have been a lot worse. And we'll get to the LSU side of it in a second. And now you're staring down the barrel at Miami, who has a quarterback in Carson Beck who has played you quite a few times. A Miami team that annihilated you last year in the swamp. And then you're having Texas A&M coming up. You have Texas coming up. But honestly, I like your odds against Texas because Arch Manning sucks. And trust me, we'll get to Arch Manning. But you know who else sucks? The guy who I've said has sucked from the beginning, Billy Napier. Billy Napier. Now, I'll admit, I did say that I had high hopes for DJ Lagway. I thought he was going to be a really good quarterback. Apparently, I was dead wrong because this guy is awful. Oh my gosh, is he awful. 5 interceptions. And it's not even just like, oh, the ball was tipped and then an LSU player happened to catch. He just had a lot of bad luck, you know? No, genuinely awful interceptions where I almost questioned if he was blind at one point. Like, I didn't know what I was watching. LSU was trying to let you win, and you still couldn't. Garrett Nussmeier had a bad interception too, thrown across his body. I don't know what was in the air that night, but apparently it caused Garrett Nussmeier and especially DJ Lagway to go mentally insane and possibly made them blind. You know, I have a sister who is a Florida fan. And, you know, I wasn't aware that she actually listened to these, but apparently she does. And last week, last week, I put on the video, Florida is dead. And I still stand by that. And they are. They're literally 6 feet under right now. But, sis, if you're listening, just know I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help. Okay? Trust me, if I was the athletic director, Billy Napier would have been fired a long time ago. And you'd be happy. You'd be in a better place. But Billy Napier and Florida have been the makers of their own destruction. Because while LSU understood what type of program they were, so they went out and they got a top-tier head coach in Brian Kelly, you decided to just go grab a coach from the Sun Belt who did good in the little old Sun Belt in Louisiana in Billy Napier. And you thought, what exactly? That was going to translate? I bet you did think that was going to translate. And now you're going to fire him at some point this season. And then what? Who are you going to go get? Deion Sanders? That'd be hilarious. I would, oh my gosh. I would literally just come on here, the episode following that, and just record 30 minutes of me hysterically laughing and upload it. Legitimately, I would do that. Lane Kiffin's a name I've heard a lot. And look, Lane Kiffin will be better than Billy Napier, but if I remember correctly, Florida's standards are not to be 8-4, 9-3. They're to be a top team in the country, which you haven't been in forever. Even like Dan Mullen had a couple good years, but you were never a threat to anything, to a national championship at least. DJ Lagway is genuinely awful. I think he has talent, but his decision making is some of the worst I've ever seen. Florida has dug themselves into this hole. And the national media hasn't helped that fact. I told you Florida should never have been ranked 13. Like, have you looked at their team? Do we remember who their head coach is? But then this brings me to LSU. LSU wasn't much better. Garrett Nussmeier, 15 for 27, 220, a touchdown, and a terrible interception, by the way. Terrible. But they're still running the ball good with Caden Durham. I've been very impressed by him. But they've got to get that offense figured out, and quickly. This offense should not be sputtering the way it's sputtering when you bring back Garrett Nussmeier. You're having a solid run game, and Aaron Anderson has been great every week at wide receiver. It's unacceptable, and you got to get it figured out. Clemson lost to Georgia Tech. Cade Klubnik, another one of those preseason darlings. Guess what? He sucks. Shocker. I know, we're all shocked. I'm not. I mean, he was outplayed by Haynes King. He was outplayed by Haynes King. Haynes King was 20 for 28, 211 passing yards, and he ran for 103 yards and a rushing touchdown. It's a fall from grace, really. Dabo should be ashamed. Georgia Tech, I still don't think much of Georgia Tech. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. But they continue to win, so good for them. At least that'll make Georgia's win look better when we beat them at the end of the season. So I'll take it. Texas A&M, oh my gosh, I have had a stroke. Texas A&M, Notre Dame, a fun game, high scoring. I'm not going to lie, a lot of people are high on Texas A&M after this game. I actually think I'm lower on Texas A&M after this game because I don't think much of Notre Dame this year. I don't have any delusions that Notre Dame is a playoff team. Ever since I saw them week 1 against Miami, all I could think about was this Notre Dame team is not that good. And they scored, and that Notre Dame offense isn't that good. And they scored 40 on Texas A&M. Marcel Reed was 17 for 37. That's physically painful. CJ Carr, 20 for 32, 293 yards, touchdown, interception. I think these were just two mid teams battling it out, and everyone wants to pretend that Texas A&M is a threat now. No, they're not. Their defense sucks. And their quarterback is mid at best. And they beat a mid Notre Dame team. There's nothing more to say about it. But you know what? We can talk about a game between two actually good teams if you want. Their names being the Georgia Bulldogs and the Tennessee Volunteers. Good old Rocky Top. Or should I say, Rocky Flop. You know, it says volumes that when Tennessee was up 21-7, was I frustrated? Sure. I wasn't necessarily worried though, because this is what they do. I told my wife this. I said, "Don't worry. They always start fast and then they fall off." And that's exactly what happened, but I at least will give Tennessee credit that while they did fall off from their first quarter performance, they still did enough to keep it a game and make Georgia fight for it. And look, when you leave a game up to your kicker, especially when you just got a false start, crazy things can happen. Ask Ohio State, who shanked a field goal to lose to Georgia in a playoff game. Crazy things can happen when you rely on your kicker. And you never should have been in this position in the first place, Tennessee. You were up to a 21-7 lead. Joey Aguilar started 14 for 14. He looked great, right? Since from the moment he was 14 for 14. You know what he went after that? 10 for 22. The 2 interceptions didn't help. And see, that's the difference. Gunnar Stockton, he had a fumble, but he didn't throw any interceptions. He avoided a lot of sacks. Our right tackle was a turnstile all game. And to those of you who disrespected Gunnar Stockton all offseason, Paul Feinbaum, who on national TV said that Gunnar Stockton was serviceable, nothing more, while meanwhile saying that Arch Manning was the best prospect he's ever seen in college football since Tim Tebow. How are you feeling today, Paul? How are you feeling today when Arch Manning can barely complete a pass against UTEP? Arch Manning was 4 for 15 at one point against UTEP, while Gunnar Stockton is going 24 for 31, 304 yards passing and 2 passing touchdowns with also a rushing touchdown and a 93 QBR. When he literally first throw of the game, deep shot. And I tried to tell you, all you Georgia fans who your whole personality is Mike Bobo bad. Mike Bobo sucks. Mike Bobo should be fired. All because what? We didn't look great against Austin Peay? That's because we're not using our best stuff against Austin Peay. Why would we? They're Austin Peay. Of course, Gunnar doesn't need to take a deep shot against Austin Peay and Marshall. And so what did Bobo do? First play of the game, Gunnar took a deep shot. And it was a dime. But honestly, the most impressive thing, the most important thing, the 4th and 6, the legitimately one of the best throws I've ever seen from a college quarterback. Just a dime right to London Humphreys in the end zone. That was a beautiful pass. Has anyone seen Cade Klubnik make that pass this season, or Garrett Nussmeier? DJ Lagway completes more passes to the opposing team. Drew Aller, don't get me started. How about Lenoris Sellers? Who's another one? Arch Manning, who sucks. Ty Simpson. Is there any others? Am I missing any of these other frauds? I'm not going to say John Mateer because I think John Mateer's good. But all of your little preseason quarterback darlings like DJ Lagway, like Cade Klubnik, like Ty Simpson, like Julian Sayin, that's another one. Have I said Drew Aller? Lenora Sellers? All that group. Arch Manning. You know the group. They all, their performances have paled in comparison to what Gunnar Stockton and Joey Aguilar did this past weekend. Paled in comparison. And you can say all you want about how much potential those guys have, how much talent that they have if they can just be developed. But you want to know something? Gunnar Stockton, he makes the plays when it matters most. He plays the game to win, and he is a winner. And I think it's a shame that I'm not seeing more. Oh, Bryce Underwood. That's another one, by the way. And it's Dylan Raiola. They're just coming to me. And it's a shame that I'm not seeing more media members who were disrespecting Gunnar Stockton come out and apologize for being so incredibly wrong and having these assumptions based off nothing. Baseless assumptions. If you can't tell, I've been thinking about that for a while. Just don't doubt Kirby, man. And I'm sick and tired of the UGA fans who their whole personality is Mike Bobo sucks. He doesn't suck. Is he as good as Todd Monken? No, but Todd Monken, there's a reason he's now in the NFL with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. You need to let that go. Is he the best offensive play caller in the country? Probably not. But what blows my mind is we have a game like we did against Austin Peay, and everyone is just out. Oh, Mike Bobo, he's got to go. Mike Bobo needs to be fired. And then we play this game, we score 44 on their head, and I don't hear a peep. I don't hear a peep out of those people. And you won't hear a peep. They'll sit around, they'll wait, and then we'll play like Charlotte or something and have and not win by as much as they want us to, and they'll be back. How many times is he going to run up the middle? He's throwing screen after screen. Mike Bobo's got to go. We can't win with this guy. And then we'll go beat Georgia Tech, and they'll be quiet again. And it's just a cycle with these losers. Mike Bobo is not a bad offensive coordinator. Get it through your head. We forget how quickly we forget. In Mike Bobo's first year as our offensive coordinator, do we remember how we did? We lost one game, the SEC championship, by 3 points. One game by 3 points. And yeah, last year was a struggle offensively. But I don't think that's all Mike Bobo's fault. Mike Bobo can't force the wide receivers to actually catch a pass. And those drop passes stalled so many drives. And all you want to talk about, Todd Monken this, Todd Monken that. Todd Monken was benefited from the fact that he had Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey on that offense. Mike Bobo got Brock and Ladd for one season, and they were both hurt for a majority of it. And that was the season we only lost one game by 3 points. And yeah, we had a mediocre performance offensively against Austin Peay. How quickly we forget when Todd Monken was our coordinator, we struggled against Kent State. Kent State. We won a national championship that year, by the way. So it's getting tiresome. It's getting tiresome. It's a great win for Georgia. It was a great game. Go Dogs. Oh, man. I talked a lot. I yapped. But that's going to be the end of this episode. I hope everyone has a great day. We'll get another episode tomorrow of my preview of week 4. I'll do 10 more game picks. I hope everyone has a great day. Don't forget to go out there and be great.